I liked the structure. It was my training. My training was wickery, even though I'm a hedge witch, kitchen witch. It's that structure of learning, isn't it? That's the bit that I liked. Yeah, do this, and learn this. Yeah,
and the learning that you don't get in books, because although a lot of stuff is published, a lot of oathbound material is out there. Mostly, it's the practice, isn't it, that you don't get written down in books. It's the experiential kind of the feeling of being in a witch's circle, which is very hard to capture in language. And those are the bits that the sort of noetic qualities of it that I think I love the most.
So how did that all start then? What pushed you in that direction?
Ooh, what pushed me in was having a really miserable time. I would say what pushed me in was my Saturn Return, my first Saturn Return, which was, I got to the age of about 26, 27, 28. From childhood, had this absolute obsession that I was going to be an actor. That was my thing. So I'd done everything. I'd gone to university and was actually working as a professional actor, but having an awful time with it. Getting awful jobs, being treated really badly, and getting very jaded. And at the age of about 28, I had started on the path to witchcraft. I'd discovered hedge witchery, and I'd been reading everything I could get my hands on, and got to the point where I knew I needed to stop acting, because it was going to mean, it was that kind of, there must be more to life than this moment. And decided that I was going to take a year off from acting. I was going to go and find myself and then go back to acting when I'd found myself, and when I'd rediscovered my sense of love of life and all of those lovely things that we find along the way. So I took the year off and stumbled upon a certain bookshop in London which was offering at the time classes. I came across a internet forum that said hedge witches, solitary witches, here's a course for you, and walked into that kind of training session, which lasted about 6 weeks. I think it was a 6-weekly class, and then once I got to the end of that process, I was just like, I can't stop now. I just cannot. This is it. I found where I need to be, and at that point, I just kept saying to the teacher, "What next? What next? What next?" And thankfully, she had lots of what nexts answers, and that's where I went. And ironically, that's sort of like 26-ish years ago now. And which is quite frightening. And I've never gone back to acting. Never went back. It hasn't called me in any way. I occasionally have conversations with friends who are actors, and they'll say, "Oh, do you fancy?" And I'm like, no, no. Really
been really, there, done that.
Yeah, love what I'm doing now, which is more me.
Yeah, it's a calling, isn't it? It definitely is a calling.
Yeah, very much. And I think that's another thing that, when I often get emails from people saying, I'm just finding my way and I want to know where to go. And it is very much that kind of, it is a calling. And particularly, I mean, the initiatory path is definitely a calling. It's not, it's a very Marmite kind of thing. You either love it or you hate it. And
it's a big commitment.
It's a big commitment.
Yeah,
it is a big commitment. There was a moment where I sat on a rock in Devon, having a conversation with the universe, and there was a moment where I kind of said, "Okay, I'm handing it all over to you. Wherever you, tell me where you want me to go. What do you want me to do?" It's an in-service role, isn't it? I think.
And the universe usually knows what we need, which isn't necessarily what we want. Yeah, I tend to put my trust in it. It generally, sometimes it's a git, and I think, what are you doing that for?
Yes, but there's a humour in it as well, which I really appreciate. I often refer to the gods as the cosmic joker, because it's that kind of, that moment where, you know, if you've done a spell for something and you get the results exactly as you asked for them, but there's always a little twist in the tale, or there's a little
Yeah. It's never
sense of
that
humor.
straightforward, is it?
Exactly. So, you know, there is that moment where I think it's an ongoing, for me, it's an ongoing relationship with the divine, always. Which again is not for the faint-hearted, is it? You know, it's one of those things where unless you're willing to surrender quite a lot of things, I think, you know, a lot of people come into witchcraft because they imagine that they'll have control of their lives. You know, I often get questions from people saying, "Oh, I want to do a spell for this, that, or the other, and you know, I need help with this," and it's usually because people are feeling powerless and they're feeling, you know, oppressed in some way by some situation, and they imagine that having a handle on witchcraft will give you control of your life. And it, you know, your response is is exactly the response I give, which is like a cry laugh.
I think a lot of people as well, modern times, they want a quick fix and they think, oh, a spell, that'll fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the spell crafting is really, I find that really interesting as well, because I sometimes forget that we do that. You know, I can go months without doing any spell crafting at all.
Yes.
And it's not about the spells and what you're getting out, it's what you're putting in, I think, that's more important.
Absolutely. I think there is this idea, isn't there, that witches, we get up every morning and you know, collect the dew from the grass, summon a few demons, and make the breakfast. Then we spend the day casting spells and making potions all over the place. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no. I'd love it if that was reality.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But it's no, sadly.